Hi, everyone, and welcome to our Formative Assessment Toolkit for Literacy video series. I'm Stephanie McCulley, and I'm the ELA consultant for the Eastern Township School Board. And in this video, I'm going to be walking you through a 5 traits writing continuum inspired by the 6 traits of writing and companion continuums for spelling and punctuation that represent the 6th trait. So these continuums are included in a series of tools highlighted in the toolkit. And they were, the ones featured today were developed over the last few years by Lynn Senecal. She's the coordinator of the Inclusive Schools Network here in Quebec, as well as teams of teachers and consultants that worked with her. So we're seeing that these tools could provide, could be a helpful resource for teachers and students to be able to visualize development in writing skills over time. And we thought that teachers, ELA, WOTP, special programs, resource teachers, etc., and students could work together with the tools to chart growth, mark progress, set goals, and gain a fuller understanding of key features of student writing. So from higher level traits like ideas and voice to language conventions such as spelling and capitalization. So the beauty of these tools is that they can be used by educators in both elementary and secondary to support students with a wide variety of profiles, including students with special needs through all of the grade levels in a variety of contexts. We felt like there were many practical applications for these tools. So to start with, they would help with identifying where students are in their learning efficiently. And then you could use them to help track students' learning quickly and simply. You might use them to determine appropriate next steps for interventions, enrichments, and lessons. They help in acquiring language to clearly communicate with students and parents about the student's strengths and needs. They help to scaffold conversations about aligning expectations horizontally and vertically. And those conversations could be between multiple stakeholders like homeroom teachers, resource teachers, parents, and the students. And finally, they help us to understand the big picture of writing development. So here are the 3 tools that we're going to look at today a little bit more carefully. The 2 convention continuums show developmental growth in the 6th trait of writing related to mechanical conventions like punctuation, capitalization, and spelling. While the overarching writing continuum shows development in the other 5 main traits of writing. The continuums are designed to be used as formative tools to support the teaching of writing, and they're not intended to be used as rubrics for grading, and they support formative assessment because they help to track students' progress over time. In the following slides, we're going to be looking a little more closely at each one, but we wanted to point out that together, the 3 of them used to track progress in student writing can give the teacher a powerful view of where students are in writing development, using really any writing sample and a wide variety of writing evidence. So the student could produce fiction, nonfiction, any of those products can be used with the continuums to track their progression in these skills. And we thought it would be very helpful when considering the skills in context. We're observing student writing and determining if direct instruction might be necessary on certain skills. So here's the first one. It's the 5 traits writing continuum. It's organized much like the other 2 conventions continuums, and it's based on the first 5 traits of writing. So most are familiar with the 6 traits of writing through Ruth Cullum's work. The other 2 continuums are related to the 6 trait conventions. The 5 columns you see from left to right are ideas, text organization, voice, word choice, and sentence flow. And I've blown up the bottom tier of the continuum that represents the earliest development section on the 5 traits to make it a little easier to see the structure. But to note, it's read from bottom to top. And because continuums mark progression and development, we might see achievement in skills near the top of the continuum for some students in upper elementary school, but then we might see other students take to secondary 5 and beyond to master certain skills. So all students really vary in the age and grade at which they might reach a stage in writing development. As in the conventions continuums, the tool is designed to provide a space to mark a date for when a teacher is able to observe that skill sort of in student writing consistently. And ideally, this with the next two continuums together would follow learners sort of from grade to grade, documenting broad writing strengths and challenges and growth over time, and also instructional priorities. This is the spelling continuum. And I've blown up the bottom section again to make it a little easier to see. But here are the things to keep in mind again. Like the 5 traits, it's read from bottom to top. It begins with the earliest stage of spelling, described in the bottom levels, related to print awareness and pre-phonetic spelling. And then the teacher would track upwards to the top of the continuum, where we see the more conventional stages of spelling. The continuum can be used with students in secondary school, where it can be used to help identify if spelling is related to developmental skills, or if it's just a student might need to pay more attention, be more intentional when they're drafting and when they're editing. The boxes on the side, again, are a spot where a teacher could write a date, and the B and C code on the right side of the skills are where a teacher would indicate if they're seeing that skill sort of in a beginning way, or more often or most often, and then consistently. And the idea being that we want to mark a student consistent in that skill over time in a variety of contexts. The last continuum is the punctuation continuum. It is titled Punctuation Continuum, but it does include a column on capitalization. The 4 columns are capitalization, end of sentence punctuation, within sentence punctuation, and punctuation within dialogue. And there's a small subsection that we don't show here on apostrophes. So I've blown up the section on capitalization to make it a little easier to see, and I'll just mention a few things. It is, again, read from bottom to top. And it begins with what these skills would look like when a student is beginning to write and attend to punctuation and capitals. They are, this could start pretty early in capitals because, they might be capitalizing their own name, but scribble writing may be in most other contexts. And then the skill is tracked by the teacher upwards to where at the very highest level, they're playing with capitalization to create effect and add meaning. So, and as in the spelling continuum, the tool is designed to provide a space to mark a date for when the teacher is able to observe that skill in student writing at the 3 stages, like beginning, often, and consistently. So it's important to remember that no student exactly fits an average learning profile. When we're tracking students on a continuum, we need to keep in mind that their profiles might look quite uneven. When tracking them across the 3 continuums, we might see that they are progressing more quickly developmentally in some skills compared to others. They might appear near the top of one continuum for one skill, near the middle on another, and near the bottom on the 3rd continuum. So this is simply information to be used in terms of what is necessary for teachers to target for that student. And students might also track at different levels of progression in separate categories on the same continuum. Again, this is knowledge we can use to work on specific skills we feel might represent gaps in the student's learning. Every student learns and progresses at their own pace, but if we see this learning as a progression, identifying where a student has been, where they are now, and where they need to go, we're able to design instruction to meet all learners' needs. So, as was said before, this video featured the 5 traits of writing continuum along with 2 conventions continuums representing the 6th trait, and they're part of a curated collection of tools which we've called the Formative Assessment Toolkit for Literacy. Thank you for joining me today. If you liked this video, please check out the rest of the videos in the series. And for more information on how to use these tools in your instructional decision-making, please check out the next video in the series. If you have further questions or want access to the toolkit, reach out to your language arts consultant for support.